There are many sacrifices that fighters must make, like being away from family, training for 10 to 12 weeks at a time, eating a strict diet. Although good for the body, it can seem like torture to the mind. Today's boxer is yesterday's gladiator. Although they're not forced into battle like the days of the arena, but the choice to go into battle is just as deadly. The life of the body is the blood, and these fighters shed their blood for our entertainment. But there is one sacrifice that we will focus on today, that every fighter must make, and that is weight. This is the dark truth of cutting weight in boxing. If it's one thing a fighter hates about boxing, it's cutting weight. A fighter must cut down from his original walking around weight to the designated weight class that he or she fights at. Cutting weight takes a toll on the body and the mind, because losing so much weight in such a short time span is not natural. And I'm not only referring to the 15 or 20 pounds that you lose in the gym. I'm exclusively referring to the last 2 or 3 pounds you have to cut, because these pounds can be the difference between life and death.
Charles Bad News Conwell, now a professional boxer who grew up in Cleveland Heights. Saturday night, he fought Patrick Day of Long Island in Chicago, a fair fight that ended with Day taken out on a stretcher in need of emergency brain surgery. Today, Day died from his injuries, a crushing blow to the boxing community and Conwell himself.
Patrick Day was a blossoming prospect that tragically lost his life in the ring. He absolutely loved boxing. Looking back on the passing of Patrick Day, was it simply because boxing is a brutal sport and this can happen at any time to anyone?
Hello, everybody.
Or could it be another reason?
Chicago, Windy City. It's my first time here. Beautiful. Looks a lot like New York, just less crowded. So, that caught me off guard. Everybody here looks great. All the fighters. I'm excited for this card. A lot of talent. So thank God that we're all here healthy. And God willing, everybody makes weight tomorrow. We get to the arena safely and in one piece. God willing, everybody makes weight tomorrow. We get to the arena safely and in one piece. God, Saturday. Yeah.
He came over to me before the press conference with Joe Higgins, and he was so excited. He just.
You alright?
Yeah, I just remember talking to him, and what he was saying. Sorry. Yeah. So again,
the genuine emotion in you with someone you knew for 30 seconds put on your show.
Sport, it's everything.
For quite some time, there has been rumors circulating about Patrick Day and his struggle to make weight. But did his struggle to make weight impact his death? Or is it simply because boxing is a brutal sport? And this can happen to anyone at any time.
Why did this happen? Why am I left here with these 2 little boys without their father?
The boxer here who's been knocked out, he's not responding, he's totally unconscious. 28-year-old Davy Brown was a talented professional boxer. He died competing in the sport he loved. He was beaten to death in the boxing ring.
It seems that more deaths take place at the lower weight classes. One would think, wouldn't more deaths or fatalities take place at the heavyweight division? But I think there's an underlying factor on why boxers are dying at the rate they are today in the world of boxing. And today we plan to uncover that, starting with this one factor: dehydration, which can lead to decreased cerebral spinal fluid secretion, or CFS. The CFS surrounds and cushions the brain, which is important because fighters have a higher likelihood of hitting their skull than the average person does. This can cause concussions to worsen and make fighters more vulnerable to traumatic brain injuries.
Chris Justino, known as Cyborg, just days before fights like this. It's her weight.
Calma, Chris, you need to breathe. You need to breathe. Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Now that we've given some examples of fighters that have died in the ring due to weight complications, now we're going to look into how it can affect the performance of a fighter overall. There are many negative aspects to the practice of weight cutting that can affect combatant performance. One negative is the likelihood of remaining dehydrated, as this will decrease athletic performance. As many as 34% of combat sport athletes are dehydrated when they compete. This result is less total body water, reduced blood volume, and reduced total hemoglobin volume, which is iron protein. Due to combat sports requiring the athletes to be in excellent aerobic condition, a reduction in oxygenation through less hemoglobin will negatively impact their ability to perform.
Anything and everything you can to take the title from you. So I go in there with the same mentality. It's boxing, anything can happen. So you gotta be on your A game every time.
Not only is extreme weight cutting dangerous because it can dehydrate you and deplete your performance, it also prohibits you from the mineral utilization in the body brought by the adrenal glands, produced by the organelle in the body called the mitochondria. This organelle produces ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. This is the very vitality of the body, the very thing that makes you perform. And also, dehydrating yourself in such a grave state can shut down the organs and have a tremendous effect on your punch resistance. Weight cutting can negatively affect punch resistance in boxing. When a fighter loses weight, their body is deprived of resources, and they must fight their own body as well as their opponent. This can lead to a loss of accuracy, slower reactions, and more negative effect on power parameters. A great example of this would be Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, and also Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, as they both showed a lack of punch resistance. As you can see in the fights, Devin Haney, almost every shot he was caught with clean, he fell. The same thing with Errol the Truth Spence when fighting Terrence Crawford. And this isn't in any way trying to take anything away from Terrence Crawford or even Ryan Garcia. But the truth of the matter is this: Devin the Dream Haney and Errol the Truth Spence, they have been at the same weight class since the beginning of their careers. And when the body wants to stretch out and expand and get bigger, it is extremely difficult to continue making that weight. And also, when you deliberately stretch the body out, due to overeating, it makes it extremely hard to continue to make that weight. See, the thing about it is, boxers deprive themselves of food during the weight cut, so they tend to overindulge in the eating and develop eating disorders in the wake. of making weight. We just illustrated how being dehydrated and weight drain can cause low punch resistance, as well as a myriad of other negative effects, neurologically as well as physically.
Weak, and this is before we did the whole water, this is still old school method. I did get sick I couldn't sleep that night before. I didn't sleep a single minute of the night. My body was in pain, like literally in pain. My whole body was in pain. Would grab the remote to try to watch some TV and see if that would help. And I realized I couldn't let go of the remote.
Come on, Sadie. Come on, 911. Come on. Tap me, Sadie. Do something.
I did my weight cut incorrectly, drank way too much water, and like an idiot, I didn't put any electrolytes in it and actually diluted all the sodium in my body, so I had a seizure.
Tune in to part 2 of The Dark Truth of Cutting Weight in Boxing, where we'll analyze how to properly hydrate and also what true hydration is. And we'll also go over the long-term effect that it has on the human body when cutting weight in boxing.